Hello, my dear friends. Exactly 1 week has gone after the Euro 24 final. Spain beat England 2-1. Spain won the European title for a fourth time, and they deserve to win. Everybody agrees on that. But as usual with final, you have to play, not to play, but to win. And they won it because England allowed them to win. And, the greatest event, the result of this final, was resignation of Gareth Southgate. He couldn't, as far as I understand, bear with a critique that was coming from all sides, especially from very competent people like Gary Lineker, like Piers Morgan, and so on and so forth, and he resigned. A man who took England to 2 finals in a row of a European Championship. None of England managers have done that. Had to resign. The main critique that was that did sound in his respect was that England was supposed to play offensive football, and England did not play offensive football. Now, we know very well that Gareth Southgate tries to be a tactician. He's not the greatest tactician, obviously, and I'll explain why. Because I think he did a few serious mistakes in a final. But first mistake he has made was a strategic mistake by not selecting Jack Grealish from Manchester City. And so he deprived himself of a choice, even as a substitute, on a left attacking flank. But the game itself, the final, which again, I'll repeat, you must win. It doesn't matter how you play, because as everybody says, when you see the cup and you see it behind me, the Spaniards have it, engraved, you have Spain. It doesn't matter how they play. In 20 years, it will be forgotten. But Spain engraved will remain. So the team started playing more or less a mirror image formation tactically, 4-2-3-1, both of them. But when you look at the average position of the first half, you see that it was a man-to-man play in midfield. And it basically was the decision of England to play that way. Many times I've said that the triangle, Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Dani Olmo, or Pedri before, is a deadly triangle. It's a Bermuda triangle for any team. So this time, Foden played against Rodri, man-to-man. Kobe Mainu played against Fabian Ruiz. And Dani Olmo was looked after by a lot of, I would say that by a lot of defensive players in England. You see, he took that position. He was quite deep inside the English half of the field. Now, the first half was probably the most boring first half of all the games played in Germany 2024. Boring, because they have annulled each other. I mean, there was no space to play, it was man-to-man, and obviously you cannot get something very spectacular out of it. And suddenly, everything changed in the second half, obviously, because Rodri didn't come out on the field. One of the best players in the world, the best player of Spain, and the one around whom all the game is constructed. Now, the Spanish side hit it, well, it hit it, you can't hit it for a long time. When the second half starts anyway, you see who didn't come on the field. But until the last second, it was not clear Rodri is coming or not coming on, and he did not come on. At this point, myself, from my footballing experience, from my father's footballing experience, who was playing higher level than me, but anyway, we had experience in man-to-man marking. When you have to mark a man and you are being told by the coach that you don't have to allow him to play, mentally you get exhausted. Psychologically, you're void because you cannot play the game that you would like to play. You cannot participate in the constructive part of the game, and but you always have to look for that man. So even if you have a ball and you make a few steps forwards towards the goal of your opponent, you are still looking left, right, back. Where is the man that I have to take if we lose the ball? So what I would have done on if I were in the place of Gareth Southgate, I would have immediately substituted Foden. Immediately. He had Gallagher. Gallagher had already experience in 2020 in Euro 2024. I would have switched to 4-3-3 formation immediately. I would stop personal, that is man-to-man marking, and mark zone. Now, if you noticed, but I don't think that everybody noticed, at a certain point, at the very beginning of the first half, the manager of Spain, Luis de la Fuente, he called Dani Olmo and he whispered something into his ear. And I think that we understood with time that Dani Olmo had to come back, not play deep in England's half, but play more in the midfield. So basically, he shifted to 4-3-3. Foden, it was for him. He was lost on the field because should he follow the substitute? Should he forget about the substitute? It was a kind of a chaotic Foden. I've never seen someone so lost in a game. So if he had done it, at least he would have equilibrated the game and no more man-to-man marking. And then you start thinking about how to transform slowly the game into an attacking game. And trying to avoid the Spanish wingers, especially Williams and Yamal, to have a lot of space. Then you can introduce Palmer, you can introduce Watkins. It's okay, but you had to restructure the team immediately when you saw that Rodri is not coming out to play the second half. So, and even that, if Dani Olmo, basically the last minute of added time of the second half, hadn't saved on the goal line, the ball would have gone in and it would have been a tie, and then you go into overtime, and there I think England wouldn't have lost. I don't know, it could have gone to penalties, and that is absolutely unpredictable. But anyway, this is Gareth Southgate's character. He's very careful tactically. He reacts very slowly. He's not an offensive manager. The first thing for him is not to score goals, but to avoid goals. So the team is more or less like this. I am not a greatest fan of England, but I respect England very much, and I very often cheer for England. So, and I watch closely the Premier League, and I can feel that a guy like Gareth Southgate will not play open, offensive football with the national team of England. But I don't know who will, because I am not sure that this generation of players, especially in midfield, are capable of doing what the Spanish trio was doing, and is doing, and will be doing. England doesn't have such midfield players. And it's not accidental that Rodri plays in Manchester City, that Dani Olmo plays in Leipzig, and Luis plays in PSG, but not that's the point. I mean, Rodri plays in Manchester City, and these central positions, most important positions in Premier League, the first 6 teams at least, those positions are occupied by foreigners. And until in a new generation of midfielders, because besides, I mean, Kobe Mainu is a good midfielder, Declan Rice is a good midfielder, but they're too similar in a way. I mean, they do more or less the same things. So I think I will not express my opinion. Was it right to criticize in that, I mean, I would say very aggressive way, Gareth Southgate, and force him to go? I myself would have kept him until World Cup, because players are used to him, they play for him, they understand him, and he's created a squad. The next manager, be it an Englishman or a foreigner, probably an Englishman. Everybody is talking about the manager of Newcastle, Eddie Howe, but that's not very probable, because Newcastle is not ready to abandon a very good manager. So I don't know who is going to be, but he'll have to create a group very quickly. He'll have to change the style so that he satisfies the people who want attacking football. I mean, it will be very, very difficult. I don't think that England is going to gain a lot from this change. So that is it. I mean, that is basically the story of the final game, which Gareth Southgate, in my view, he made a tactical mistake, a serious one, and basically he's gone. Now, for those people who are watching and are curious to know a little bit about history of England, especially, I will tell you a few things which you may not know or you may know. If Dani Olmo's save on a goal line gave European Championship to the Spaniards, a goal which was allowed in a game, in the final game, World Cup 1966, was disputed and is disputed today still. 1966, the final on Wembley, England, coached by Alfred Ramsey, Germany managed by Helmut Schön. England has Bobby Charlton, has Jackie Charlton, has Bobby Moore above all in the defense. I mean, a good team, really a good quality team. Germany is also a very good quality team. Germany always, after the say after '54, always had a good national team. So young Beckenbauer, experienced Uwe Seeler, It was two strong teams came to the final. 90 minutes, 2-2, a draw. And the overtime begins. And 11 minutes into the first half of overtime, Jeffrey Hurst gets a ball from a midfield player. I think it was his second name was Ball, I think, and he strikes the lower side of a crossbar, and the ball lands somewhere in the area over line, behind the line or on the line. That is a dispute.
Here's Ball running himself daft.
Swiss referee, Mr. Deans, goes to a linesman, Tofik Bahramov, who was a Soviet referee from Azerbaijan, and consults him. And Tofik Bahramov says it was a goal. The goal is counted, and then that's it. I mean, that is the end of the story of the final, because Germany, in mass starts attacking, and obviously England has all the spaces for counter, and Jeffrey Hurst scores on the last minute, I think, on the 120th minute, the fourth goal, and Jeffrey Hurst becomes the first player to score a hat-trick in a final of a World Cup. Now there are two of them, because Kylian Mbappé scored 3 goals in 2022 in Qatar. So that goal is disputed a lot. In 1996, there is a scientific team which is formed in England. They use film analysis, computer simulation, and they show that the whole ball never crossed the line. Only 50% of it did. And this is a group from Imperial College of London and a group from the Department of Engineering Science at University of Oxford. And that is 1996. And they say that the ball would have needed to travel a further 18 plus minus 4 centimeters to fully cross the line. 20 years later, obviously technology is developing very fast. Sky England did the same thing, research, and they came to a conclusion that the ball crossed the line fully, and it's a goal. But this controversy continues. So you see, the goal line plays an important role in England's football history. After this final, Alfred Ramsey was awarded a knighthood by the Queen, and in 1970, Sir Alfred Ramsey was with his team in Mexico, World Cup 1970. And again, they met with Germany, and they met in the quarterfinals. And Germany was managed by the same manager, Helmut Schön. Germany had a lot of young talent. Say Schnellinger, you cannot say he was very young, but he was really very talented. Flank player, Beckenbauer, who was already playing in a bit different position, more in the back. You have the young Gerd Müller, who became then a legend of German football. So, but that England in 1970, in my view, played better football than in 1966. It just played better football. Yes, it lost to Brazil in their group game. It was lost 1-0. But at that time, Brazil was really unbeatable, even more unbeatable than today's Spain. That was Pelé's last World Cup. It was an absolutely fantastic team. I've never seen a team like that. So, but again, England was leading Germany in the quarterfinal at the 50th minute, 2-0. Beckenbauer scored on the 68th minute. And here, Sir Ramsey decides to defend the 2-1 score. He substitutes Bobby Charlton. And to me, when I remember I watched that game, to me it seemed an incredible mistake, because you have to know the German character. They're now going to go up front and massively. They will leave you a lot of space. You have to attack them. You cannot just defend yourself against that Germany. And in fact, Germany equalized, and then in overtime, Gerd Müller scored a winning goal. So basically, Sir Alfred Ramsey also made a tactical mistake. But there wasn't that immediate, immense flow of critique. He was not insulted in any way. He continued to manage England national team in 1972 European Championship. So, you know, you sometimes have different approaches to different people. Like, because he had won a World Cup, he was untouchable. And his mistake in Mexico was sort of not very much discussed, though I think it was sort of a serious tactical mistake. You know, if you want to make sort of a global conclusion of all of that, England tried very many types of managers. After 1966, it hasn't won anything. There must be a reason for that, because England had good generations, and now it has a good generation. It has a really good generation. Yes, it is lacking a little bit of talent in the defense and a little bit of talent in midfield, but it has an absolutely fantastic attack. And we'll see how Bellingham is going to develop. I mean, Bellingham can develop into one of the best players in the game. So I wish England well, but I don't really agree that that it was the right time and the right decision for Gareth Southgate to go. If you don't agree, you just right. I suppose that many will not agree, but this is my opinion. And thank you that I had the possibility to share it with you. See you soon.